Hey guys, well, now we're at part 2 today. Part 2 of my top 40 favorite movies of all time. So, how we're gonna go from number 30 all the way through to number 21. Count, for this part 2. And after this, I'll make a part 3 in 5 days. After that, part 4 will come in another 5 days, and we'll finally see my top 10 all time favorite films right now, for now. And just treat this like it's my first, because I like to do a favorite movies of all time list every year, because I watch more movies, so I like to, keep up with what's happening. So once that comes out next year, you can just treat it like it's my first. So don't be saying I don't want any dislikes because it's the same thing. It's just trying to edit. And the rules are the same. I'm not including any sequel. Only one movie per franchise. That's kind of what it is. Now, without further ado, let's start the countdown. Number 30 is The Sixth Sense. The classic M. Night Shyamalan. When you look at him, you normally think of a lot of bad movies out there. M. Night Shyamalan hasn't been doing so well with most of their films. He's been considered not that great of a director. But even though bad directors can still have at least one movie to enjoy, and this one is his, The Sixth Sense. This movie's honestly kind of frightening, not in a way that no other movie likes to be frightening. It scares me in a different way, and that's why I love it so much. It scares me in a way that just makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel confused, and that's I like that. I like how it does that to me. It gives me a different kind of feel of scares. There's a lot of quiet noises and very weird stuff, and it definitely feels like a unique horror film. Is it the scariest horror movie ever? I wouldn't say that, but I still think it packs a lot of great scares. And yeah, I really recommend it to those who like a good horror movie, but also like to feel uncomfortable while watching one. Number 29 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now here's a movie that I kind of don't know why I like so much. It's just coincidence that I like it a lot. I remember when I was 5 years old and I first got to watch this movie. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. I was a lot better than I expected. I thought it was just going to be, boring and over the top, but it wasn't. It wasn't real packed and enjoyable. And ever since, I started rewatching it over and over again in my young age. It kept me going like a lot of other kids' movies. And now that I'm here right now, I can simply look back at it and think of it as a great childhood film. A film that kind of impressed me in a very great way. While there are other great childhoods like The Wizard of Oz or Sound of Music, this is one that got me in a way those didn't before. Now I am gonna say this right now for the list. I didn't say this earlier, but I'll say it now. I'm not including any movies that came out before the 60s. Because it's hard to, I have a lot of movies, it's hard to rank from this age. So I'm only including movies that came out I'm only including movies that came out since the year 1960 and beyond. I haven't watched that many movies before then, so I kind of hard to rank. Just know that, so you won't see Wizard of Oz on this list. But this is a childhood I probably will never forget. Hopefully. Number 28 is Shrek 2. This is the superior sequel to the original Shrek movie. I love the original Shrek movie. It had a lot of fun. It became popular and iconic. But Shrek 2 kind of impressed us in a very big way. This movie had a completely different idea to the story structures. For all the great stuff, all the great humor and jokes we saw in Shrek, lampooning a little bit of Disney's fairy tales and all, Shrek 2 does it in a more hilarious way. Like, it's packs a lot. It's more into the puns and more into the I don't like that. I like how they improved on with more of the idea. How about the story overall, not counting the jokes? It does kind of have a great focus, kind of keeping up with what the original had, not just redoing it or continuing in a different way. It still keeps up with what made the original Shrek great. And I like how Shrek 2 is able to take something that's so unique and fabulous and make it more unique and fabulous. Now, what about all the other sequels? Shrek 3. Shrek 3 is not that great. It's really dumb. Shrek 4, it's good, but it's not as good as the films. It's still Shrek 2 is my favorite out of the bunch, and certainly did pack a lot of fun from when I was a child, and certainly still today. Number 27 is Inception. Hey, look, there's a movie that came out just last decade. Inception is a movie directed by one of the greatest directors of all time, Christopher Nolan, and stars one of the greatest actors of all time, Leonardo DiCaprio. I like movies that do that, star a great actor and be directed by a great director. So there's Inception, for example. Inception is beyond epic. It's huge. Like, the amount of science fiction they throw at us is really big, and the idea they have for the science fiction, skew what the story is, makes it great. A story about being stuck in dreams, being all topsy-turvy, that's what this is kind of like. And it works like a charm. It actually does scare us sometimes and even surprises us sometimes. I like how they're able to take someone like Leonardo DiCaprio and put him into something so epic and incredible. Because earlier we normally saw him in dramas, and that's not really something. We finally see him in an actual action flick. A huge action movie, so that's great how DiCaprio is able to perform for action, not just drama. Improvements, as well as good old Christopher Nolan keeping up the right story to make more. It's like when he made The Dark Knight, he focused on mature action, just like this does. Number 26 is The Shining. Would you look at that? It's a nice classic Stanley Kubrick movie. Anybody read the classic book by Stephen King, one of the greatest authors of all time? The Shining was a nice book to read. It kind of had a lot of great idea, and it certainly meant a lot to everybody. So when the movie came out, we honestly weren't thinking about seeing much, but we did see a lot. Unfortunately, The Shining didn't do so well for the sake of box office or Oscar. It got a Razzie nomination. Don't know why, and it kind of got a little disrespect from some people. I don't know why. I definitely respect this movie a lot. I respect The Shining as one of the greatest horrors of all time. Not just from the book, from the actual movie. And of course, you can't forget the classic "Here's Johnny" quote. Like, everybody's been saying that. It's one of the most iconic movie quotes of all time. Number 25 is A Quiet Place. Now, here's a movie that has become my number one favorite. A Quiet Place is my number one favorite horror movie of all time. Why? Because this movie has everything I love about horror. It has creepy monsters, very quiet suspense, a well put together story, and one great thing is that the film isn't too long or too short. It's only 90 minutes long. That's a great runtime for such a quick and paced movie. A Quiet Place is not so cool. It is very quiet, actually. There's barely any dialogue in it at all. There's about a couple lines, but not really anything much. There's sign language in it because, quiet. You just have to be quiet or else you're killed. Smart and very unique, and that's just what makes it my favorite horror flick. It's not my favorite by actual rank standard. You're going to see some other horrors up here, but it's my favorite in terms of being scared. And it's the scariest to me. Number 24 is The Breakfast Club. A nice 80s classic. I love 80s teens movies. You saw my review of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You know how much I love the teens of the 80s. While they weren't the most appropriate, they did smoke a lot and stuff. They definitely did not have cell phones like we do. They weren't spending their time Snapchatting and Instagramming and TikTok and all that. No, they spend their time actually socially interacting with each other. And that's pretty great how they did that. This movie definitely puts a great example of it, giving everything we love about an 80s teen movie and a lot about other 80s stuff, like 80s music, the classic Don't You Forget About Me song. I can't stop thinking about it. That song's really fun to listen to. I even put a link in the description to... Nah, I don't do that. I talked about a lot from this movie. I talked about why this movie should win an Oscar. I talked about that Bender is the best character in the film. I talked a lot about this movie, and I can simply say it is one hell of a lot of fun. Number 23 is The Terminator. Nice Schwarzenegger classic. Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the greatest action stars ever. I mean, every movie you see him in, he's great for action. Well, not every movie. He's sometimes isn't for action. He's in a lot. The best one would have to be the Terminator movie. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about Terminator 2 Judgment Day? A lot of people say that movie's better. I haven't seen that movie yet because it's a little more mature than this one is. I watched this one because my dad said it's not as bad. He said Terminator 2 is not that very bad, so I'm not really watching it yet. When I do watch it, I will definitely rank it and hope to say it's much better than this one. But for now, I'll just talk about how much I love this one. It's awesome, okay? It's cool. Look at the post Terminator. He's cool looking. Now I just think, why not put him in their best movie characters list? Well, I said in that list I'm only including human characters, and he's not a human. He's a robot, Terminator. That he looks like a human, but he's not a human at all, so that doesn't count. It's great though how Arnold pulls off the perfect action. He posts great iconic quotes and a great grin on his face that lets you know you are screwed. Better stay away from him, you're dead. It's all that. Perfect. Number 22 is American Graffiti. Here's another movie that's fun for teens. What I love about this movie is that it shows off lots of great elements from the 70s in the best way possible to make it feel the most nostalgic. It shows off classic cars, classic dining, classic conversations. But the best thing it shows off is classic teens. The teens of the 70s were pretty great. They look cool, they look nice, they had a lot to them. And this movie just definitely brings a great pleasure to it all. I love admiring all the cars and stuff they throw at us, making us wish we were living the life in the 70s. And it's okay, since we weren't, it's fun to enjoy this. It's fun to enjoy them getting along, not Snapchatting or Instagramming, getting along with actual socialing, you know? Social interacting's kind of illegal at this time now. But back then it was perfect and great. Say it's fun to enjoy a nice teen flick of the 70s, and it's not better than 80s teen flicks, but you'll see some more 80s teen flicks over this one. But I can simply say for 70s, this is the right kind of teens. Number 21 is Aladdin. Look, a Disney classic. Except for a lot of Disney classics out there. There's a great variety of them all. They all have a great amount of fun. I enjoy watching them all. The best kind of variety of Disney classics would have to be from the Disney Renaissance, a franchise that was showed off of random animated films from the 90s. And this one was definitely a great example. A movie that tells kind of a different story, having both the tale of a princess and the prince both getting just as much screen time. That's something no other Disney princess movie in the past done. It's great to see this one do it. There's a lot more than princess side of the story. There's a lot of other great characters too. Like the genie, for example. He's become the best. I don't think he's that great of a character, but what I love is the performance behind him. Robin Williams doesn't normally do that. He doesn't normally talk fast, so it's great how he's able to pull all that off in one character. Like he's like doing a Jim Carrey type of character, just being able to fast talk without having to slow down or cough. It's fabulous how much he can perform. It's sad that he died and he wasn't able to portray the genie in the remake. They got Will Smith. Ugh. But hey, the original definitely is a great classic, and I recommend it to those who enjoy a good Disney Renaissance movie. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll continue on part 3 in 5 days, and after that, I'll do a part 4, my top 10 favorite movies of all time for now. See you soon.